Hi, and welcome to Becoming Me Again interview series, which is all about moving from feeling stuck, lost, and invisible, and become the woman who you know in your heart you truly want to be. I'm Karina.
And I'm Sophie, and together we're Reclaim Her. We have a fabulous guest today, Melinda Carbis-Reilly. She has been in the wellness industry for over 2 decades. She's a naturopath, author, Kundalini yoga teacher, Reiki healer, creator of a wellness center. She brings with her a wealth of knowledge around the health and energy aspects of becoming me again. Can't wait to dive in. Welcome, Melinda.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's exciting to be a part of. I got goosebumps actually when you were explaining what this series is all about. It's really beautiful.
Oh, that's exciting. That's fabulous.
Yeah.
So let's dive in. We know you've created some fabulous things in your lifetime, Melinda, but we know there've also been some twists and turns along the way. So I'm wondering if you can perhaps take us back and share with us your journey.
Yeah, of course. I think probably the best place to start is the woman I was. So when I was, late teens, very, very early 20s, I was very self-indulgent. I was traveling, living life. I didn't want kids. I just wanted to be free as a bird. And life was all about adventure, which there's nothing wrong with that. But then I fell pregnant to my, at the time, fiance, and we had to grow up very fast. So I was only 22 when I had my first bub, Braith. So there was a lot of soul searching in that time of, finding my feet and choosing to be an adult and responsible and learning to love this baby as it grew in my belly. But then we had our beautiful bubs, Mr. Braith, and we were told at birth he would have complications. So it was on our radar. And then as time progressed, we found he had epilepsy and he was having lots of seizures. He couldn't digest his food. There were plenty of things we had to help him with. His muscle tone wasn't there. So we're in and out of hospital quite a lot. And he came down with pneumonia. The girlfriend was staying at my house and she brought pneumonia with her. Oh. And my bubs contracted and overnight he was gone. Oh. So it took him very fast. So it was just a bit grisly at night. And then I went to check on him in the morning and he wasn't with us anymore. Oh. Yeah, sorry, deep breath.
Yeah.
So that was the most traumatic thing that I've ever experienced, the most heart-wrenching, grief-riddled experience that, I have tears in my eyes now. He would be 19. So it's not something that leaves you. It stays. But through that absolute heartache, I knew I needed to be more. I knew that I had to step up to the plate, and not had to, I wanted to step up to the plate and become more. I wanted to be more than that free spirit. So I really started to invest in myself and do more charitable works and learn to help other people, because I knew I wasn't the only one that, has ever had this struggle or any struggle. They're all valid. So it really was this huge turning point of my life. I really think there's a pre-Braith Melinda and a post-Braith Melinda. So I really, I guess if I'm to have any message around that particular story, is your greatest heartaches and traumas and troubles usually lead to this huge opening of more depth, more understanding, more compassion. There's just more on the other side. Whenever we dip down, we know we're going to come up even higher. So yeah, I guess that would probably be the most transformative experience that I've had. I've had plenty more along the way. But choosing to become more was the biggest outcome from that.
Yeah, that's, first of all, sorry that you've experienced that. And, as you say, there's always that, I always hesitate to say a silver lining because it doesn't feel like a silver lining, but that transformation that comes through challenging experiences that lead us to step into and awaken and heart open just a bit more. So then obviously that was a huge journey with Braith. And then what happened after that? How does your life unfold into a new version of Melinda?
Yeah. So that really, I had already started a journey of fitness and wellness. I grew up as a dancer, so it was a natural progression. And then I just kept going deeper. So after doing my degree in exercise science, I felt like, oh, this isn't enough. Just telling people how to move their body, it's not enough. So I was studying yoga. I studied Pilates. I just kept wanting to know more. I studied naturopathy. So I went back and did natural medicine to understand, the bigger elements to our health and our well-being. But I still felt like there was more, and it kept pushing me towards a more spiritual approach, to a holistic approach. I did my Reiki practitioner training and my Kundalini yoga teacher training and meditation courses, and it was then that I could really see the big picture of how to truly look after yourself and create different programs, the Wellness Center, different things that really embodied every element of our mind, body, and soul, as cliche as that sounds. So I guess that sort of is where my journey took me. I started writing books as well after 2015 when I opened the Wellness Center. Ironically, it was the period of my worst health, just running myself into the ground, trying to get it up and running. So that led to a bout of depression. I had adrenal fatigue. So once my physical body went, my mental body soon followed. So through that journey of losing my mind, I then had another epiphany, another moment of learning how to really rise above those challenges and let go of that incessant need to achieve and to do. Oh gosh, do. And I've got to be a great mum. I've got to be a great business owner. I've got to be a great leader. I've got to be a great naturopath. And I had to learn the lesson of, I don't have to be great at anything but me. I just have to do me. And so that was another, yeah. Takes a lot of life to get there, doesn't it? A lot of life.
Yeah. And hence the series.
Yeah.
It's all about that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
And if we can, no, you're not interrupting. This is great. And I think that's the biggest thing that us as, more mature women can try and help our younger generation, and maybe they won't take as much time as us to get there. Maybe they'll get there sooner.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely. So I noticed on your website that you talk about, that your greatest goal is, let me quote you, is to be the change you want to see in the world. So where are you on that journey? How, is this unfolding? And I'm aware that you're writing books now. How is that looking for you in that part of your goal?
Yeah. So that's something I come back to every time I'm making a big decision to be the change. So, and I come back to a question that leads into being the change I want to see in the world. And that's, what would love do? So that's my favorite thing to ask myself when I'm in any predicament. Well, what would love do? And it's not just love for other people, it's also love for myself. I came into a very big decision-making moment late last year. So 2 years ago, I divorced my first husband and spent a few years being a single mum, which I loved. And then I met this beautiful man who had 3 children of his own, and we blended our families together. And 2 years ago, my eldest stepson, took his life. So that was another big moment of change and turmoil in our life. And so one beautiful thing that I can share is that because I had already experienced losing my own child, it really helped me be that support for my husband. And it was a very different scenario. When I lost Braith, there was no other children to consider. It was just my husband and I. We lost our first child. Where in this situation, it was carrying the grief of our remaining 4 children, the trauma that then put on my stepdaughter who found him, and my husband, you know, obviously everything that he was going through at the time. So this was this huge heartache, and I kept trying to carry the family and carry the sanctuary, my wellness center. It wasn't working. It wasn't working. I was trying to give my everything, but I could feel that person that I wanted to be slipping away. She couldn't do everything. And I was shutting off. I was really starting to shut off because, you know, we try and protect ourselves. So I had to make a huge decision late last year to sell the sanctuary. And it didn't come from this place of I'm sick of it, I'm done with it. It came from this place that and sometimes you've got to make a decision that doesn't feel right, but you know it's right. It's hard. It's so hard. It's difficult to let go of, but I knew deep down that to be of service to my family and to look after my own mental health and well-being, it was what I had to do. So I had another huge moment late last year, and coming back to that question, what I really had to decide was what would love do, and to love myself and to give myself a break of not having to carry 26 staff members on top of my own family and myself. I had to make that loving decision to let it go so we could heal.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, there's so much there, isn't there? Thanks for sharing those pieces, Melinda, because you know, they are quite heart-wrenching. Something you speak to then is a couple of things. Well, it's the letting go. So often in health, when it comes to health, it's what can we bring in? You know, do more exercise, bring more of this food in, but actually there's points in the health journey of actually choosing to let things go. And I'm wondering if you have thoughts around that. Obviously you've touched on that, but whether there are other things that you go, actually, this is what will help to move, you know, from a place of despair and help to come back along that becoming me journey.
The letting go process, I think, is the most pivotal. And something I learned just recently was we don't need any more how-to manuals. And that really resonated with me. There's so many, how to look after yourself, do this, do that. And I think intuitively you know what to do to look after your body, to look after your spirit, to your mind. That's not the problem. The problem is our blockages. And usually it is what we need to let go of, our blockages, or the things we're holding on to, who I'm supposed to be or what I'm supposed to value instead of what you truly value. And that letting go process allows you to release those blockages and come into being, come into who you're becoming. I wrote a book actually, which is really interesting, called Becoming, and then the subtitles. Yeah. So when you first reached out to me, I was like, I love that. So Becoming, and subtitle, All You Were Born to Be. And I think the biggest message in that book through the storytelling is, a particular character, Lisa, had to let go of being the person that had to support her family. And there's another character, Danny, who had to learn to let go of needing to be successful in her career and, beautiful, and portray that image of, beauty and glamour. So I think the letting go is the most important, but it's usually the most difficult. And they're not always negative things you've got to let go of. Like sometimes it's things that you absolutely love that you have to let go of if you're to become who you're born to be.
Yeah, that's so true. That journey of letting go, and letting go of definitions of ourselves, and letting go of societal definitions, and letting go of, that woman who we thought we were going to become. And then, I think that's a big one for women, is having this image of who they were going to be, but that's not always who we actually turn into.
No.
or unfold into, or that life guides us towards. So you've had some really big pivotal moments in your life that I'm hearing, loss, whether by choice or not by choice, but even your business, I'm hearing that was a huge loss. Can you share some of the learnings that you've walked away from those with? I'm imagining that there are a lot of women who will be watching this who are also experiencing loss, and maybe like you, not just one loss, but potentially multiple losses.
Yeah.
Do you have any tools or any guidance that you can offer them around coming back from that?
I think the biggest thing is let yourself be ugly and messy. Just let it be ugly and messy. Let yourself take as much time as you need, and don't expect there to be a date that you're supposed to be better. I remember, quite innocently, because people haven't experienced what you have, one of my aunties said, "Aren't you over that yet?" When I lost my son. And if you haven't experienced it, you don't understand. And it was only a couple of years after. It wasn't like it was a significant amount of time after. So let go of, I don't want to say the word ignorance, but it's innocence as well. But people who haven't been through what you've been through, let go of that. And don't be afraid to accept the help and support people are offering you. Most people that are around you and love you are dying to help. They would love to take some of that pain and agony away from you, but they can't. So the next best thing is to offer to make you meals, or to offer to mow your lawn, or to offer you to, to take you out, or whatever they're offering. Take it, because it's not only helping them, because sometimes we think, oh, I don't want to be a burden, but it's helping them because we have this innate desire to give. And so you're allowing them that experience, to give, and you're allowing yourself to be nourished, which helps you to heal. So I would say they're the probably most important things I would recommend.
Beautiful. Yes, I hear you on that. It's a beautiful piece. I wanted to touch on the intuition side, or the listening to your inner voice side, because being on a journey like this and going through different changes, there comes a point where when we're deciding and choosing what our future is going to look like, we really need to drop in and listen to that inner voice if we really want to live the life we're born to live. Do you have practices that you lean into? I know, for example, you're already working a lot with the energy aspect of things with your Kundalini yoga and Reiki. I'd just love to hear your thoughts around that, Melinda.
I think everyone experiences their inner guide, their inner voice differently. And I think learning what that inner voice is definitely the most pivotal moment to being able to then embrace how that comes to you. So some people will naturally have a gut instinct, or other people will hear a voice, or they'll see signs, or you need to tap into that, I think, number one. And some people are multi-clair, so they will experience different and many things come through to them. I think asking for a sign, the universe knows that we're human, and we sometimes need not just faith, but we need just a little nudge to go, yes, this is good. You're good.
Speak louder.
Yeah. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. So I have signs, and they come to me in the most miraculous ways. So I have a feather that comes from my baby boy Braith, because I see him, I call him my angel, but technically you're supposed to say spirit guide if they've walked the earth before, but I like angel. So I feel his presence, and he always gives me a feather on his birthday. Always. Every birthday. Yeah, it's incredible.
Oh, it's beautiful.
One time there was a feather. I came into my room and I was sitting on the bed just to sort of have a moment, and I looked down and there was a beautiful big white feather. All the doors were shut, all the windows were shut, and it was right in the middle of my bedroom where I looked down in that moment. So it's incredible. It's incredible. My eagle means that I'm on the right direction. I'm soaring, I'm elevating. So when I see an eagle, particularly when I've asked for one, and my owl, I always ask for an owl when it's a wise decision. So I choose that as, yes, this is wise, keep going. So I'm a bit greedy. I've got 3.
I love them.
And did you set those, can I just ask before you continue, did you set those 3? Like, did you say, an eagle, that's what it means, or did that come to you and you interpreted that and then kept that symbol going?
So the feather was my first sign that came to me, and that came, oh, this is a great story. So I was with my husband, we were down in Katoomba just having a beautiful little wander through this gorgeous street with lots of markets. And I didn't even know, really what signs were. I hadn't really had any understanding of that. And I got to a little shop and it had beautiful little cards. So I was reading the front and opening it, open them, reading the punchline. And I opened this one card and this white feather fell out. And at that time, I thought, oh, it was a part of the card. But then I read it and there was no reference to a feather. So I thought that was random. I didn't think anything of it, put the card back, and we went to the other side of the street and I went into a health food store. And there was a clairvoyant that was working there, and she just came up to me and she said, "Do you see feathers?" I know. And I said, "Well, normally, no, but I just saw one across the street." And she said, "That's how your son that's passed away communicates to you."
Oh, wow.
Wow. I think everyone will be going, wow. Yeah.
I know. It was just amazing. And so that was the moment that, I started, and then I got back to our hotel that we're staying in, and there was a feather. There was a feather in the room. Yeah. So it was like this verification of, yes, Mum, I'm here.
It so is.
Yeah. The other two were creations of my own. I decided that I wanted an eagle and I wanted an owl. Yes. But Braith chose the feather.
Yeah, great. So we can take from that we can do it both ways as well. Receive, for me, I see hearts everywhere. Like I had a spring roll the other day and there was this tiny, tiny little cutout and it was a perfect heart in my spring roll. That's where it had seemed that, I'll see hearts everywhere. And for me, that's, everything's all right, Karina. You're loved. It's all good. And, that's my nervous system relaxing where it's like, oh yeah, no, I'm loved. It's all good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one that found me. It's amazing that you can do both, set them and receive them organically.
Yeah, I love that. That's nice, the heart.
So tell us about, if you're willing, your book. You talk about the mystical world and, I'd love to hear a bit more about the message that you would love to share through your book, Becoming.
Yeah. So that book came about by accident. So I'd written 2 books before, and the first one was just like a natural remedies book that you would keep in your cabinet. So I really drew on my naturopathy for, just home stuff that you could heal without having to wait in a doctor's room for hours on end. And the second book was like Dig in Your Dark Side. So that one was, there was plenty of stories about my life experience with depression, but it was very much a how-to as well. And then I went to write another how-to book, and I wanted it all about self-acceptance and just love for even the darkest of moments. Just learn to love them, learn to be ugly, learn to be real. And I kept putting pen to paper, and the other 2 wrote themselves, where this one, it took me 2 years. I was 2 years, I kept sitting down, and I'm an avid reader myself. I've read so many self-help books, and I was at the point in my journey where they were all starting to sound the same. I couldn't finish one. I was, I usually love and embrace and write down notes. And I was at the point where I was like, there's so many books out there and they're starting to sound the same. And there's so many amazing people writing those books like Deepak and Eckhart. And there's just these phenomenal leaders that are already in that space and absolutely killing it and giving us what we need. So I thought, you know what, the world doesn't need another book on telling you how to be great. I think we need more stories. I think we need more relatable experiences that we can, immerse ourselves into, but we can reflect. And The Alchemist is my favorite book by Paulo Coelho. Favorite book.
My husband will love you for that.
Oh, really?
He gives all of my kids have had to read them no matter how old they are. All get a copy. Yeah, it's amazing.
I love that.
Sorry.
Oh, so good. No, don't. Yeah, so I'm with your husband. It's like the best book ever, and I read it to my children too. So I wanted a book that was like that. I can't compare myself to Mr. Paulo Coelho, but I wanted a book that was bite-sized. So if you wanted to, you could sit on a picnic rug and finish it that day. But if you wanted to, you could take your time as well. So I wanted something short, punchy, and just full of meat. And the characters, I didn't follow the normal process you're supposed to follow. You know, you're meant to document it all out, and, you know, this is the start, this is the finish, these are the chapters. I just let my heart guide me. And it was, the book wrote itself once I decided that it needed to be a story, and things would come through, and this might sound really bad, but I was crying while I was writing it little bits, because I was like, I wasn't realizing what was going to happen at the time. Like, oh my God, that's going to happen. Oh, poor her.
That's magical.
Yeah. So
I was going to say that sharing of stories, it's so important, isn't it? It's, you know, it's, we used to sit around in circle and chat much more and share the, you know, conversations with other women about our real life experiences, but we don't get the same opportunities. But clearly, you know, with what you've been saying, even about supporting a friend when they're struggling, that community is so important, that sharing of stories, and that listening to real stories from real women is just magical.
Yeah, it's just, and that's my biggest thing. That's why I talk about really ugly, raw things, is because if we don't, people feel like they're the only one. And that's isolation, and that really isn't nourishing to our souls.
Yeah, that's so true.
Mm.
And maybe this is a beautiful segue to come back to your journey and experience with depression. And because we know that, you know, there are lots of women, especially post-COVID, where, you know, this is so huge, depression and anxiety and feeling okay in a transforming world. So I wonder if there's something that you can speak to those women who, you know, who are experiencing that your journey, some insights that your journey has offered you.
Yeah, absolutely. With mental health, there's usually a physical or multiple physical signs that reveal themselves first. Our body is such a huge teacher, and it wants to help us, to guide us. And sometimes it's gut issues, sometimes it's, you know, cognition starts to go because we're loading ourselves too much. Sometimes it's, for me, it was adrenal fatigue. I just absolutely messed my chemicals up with what I was doing to my body. So I think the first thing that I would say is, if you're getting those physical signs, really listen, because your body is calling out to you. And it's a beautiful time to intercept and to allow yourself time and space to heal those parts of your physical body, and then your mental body will follow. Sometimes, even if it is trauma that leads into the mental health problems that you're experiencing, your body will still give you signs, whether it be anxiety, you know, palpitations. There's always something in the body that can share that with us. Yeah. Another big thing, I believe, is moving your body. Energy is just, so our emotion, is just energy in motion. So if we don't move our body, we're not allowing that energy to create motion, and then it becomes stored and locked in the body. And then it gets stuck, it creates stories, it stores in the amygdala, and it really catastrophizes and leads into more. So, and it doesn't have to be intense movement, you know, 3 45-minute walks a week. It could be walking around your garden if that's all you can take at that moment. It doesn't have to be a lot. It can be a 5-minute walk with a girlfriend while you talk about what's going on for you. But movement really helps that stagnant energy clear. And I think the other big one is, find the way you connect to your spirit. So if that's journaling, if that's girlfriends, if that's meditation, find the way you connect to your spirit, because I really believe the essence of depression, anxiety, mental health problems is a disconnection to who you're supposed to be, to who you know you are on the inside. There's a little cord that's a bit severed, and it's that cord we need to repair.
Yeah. And it sounds like that could also be mapped across to follow the pleasure. So even in movement, you know, I'm guilty of not moving. So people will attest to that. So for me to do it, I have to find something that brings me pleasure, like dancing or being in nature, something like that. But I hear the same as well with connecting with spirit, because I know that can feel inaccessible to some, but the way you just described it, you connect to who you are by the trail of pleasure. So finding those things that light you up even just a little bit, you know, if meditation feels good and connected, if nature feels good and connected, it's finding that inner yes. Is that also what I'm hearing? Am I hearing that?
And I'm so glad you said dance. I should have, dance, yes, move that body, get into that energy. Yes, I really think, and I've got a new thing that I say, I'm only doing it if it brings me joy. So we have a holiday planned for June, and my husband said to me the other week, you know, let's try and lose weight and, you know, do this before June. And I said, nah, you're on your own. That I don't want to be regimented. I've done regimented and it doesn't bring me joy. I want to be healthy and I want to, you know, eat well and I want to move and I want to be happy, but I'm not doing that. It doesn't bring me joy. So I shut that idea down very quickly.
Beautifully said. And all those little moments count, don't they? They don't have to be big expressions. You know, when we're struggling, sometimes we can't manage the big things, but those little moments of pleasure or those little things that you bring, the 5-minute walk, like you said, it's those things that become bigger aspects of ourselves as we continually do them in our days or in our weeks ahead.
Yeah, start small, 100%. Yeah.
Yay. So the beauty of pain, you know, can you talk to that? You know, that the two don't tend to go together, beauty and pain. You know, any woman who has traversed will be able to, you know, find that within them. Is there something that you can speak to around that?
There is, and I talk about beauty in pain a lot in Becoming. A lot of the story is based around finding that beauty, that there's no perfection. You might think that your experience is supposed to be X, but that X might be leading to something else. Like I thought having Braith meant I would be a mother to him, but it didn't lead into that. It led into a completely different pathway for me. I got to mother my other children, which is beautiful, but it's letting go of that attachment of, like when I opened the sanctuary, I thought when I opened it, it was leading into having sanctuaries all over the world. Like I had this huge vision, and it didn't lead to that. It led to this huge understanding of working with a team and all the other little messages and experiences and lessons I received in that 5.5 years of having the sanctuary. So I think that the beauty and pain, whether it be small or significant, you can't always feel it in that moment. When my depression came back late last year, which then ended up being diagnosed as bipolar. So from being on antidepressants 5 years ago, and this is an important message actually that I really want to share, sometimes antidepressants can lead to bipolar if you're taking them and you have anxiety attached to your depression. Not many psychiatrists know that, but I've found some really beautiful leaders in that space. And so being on the antidepressants whilst having anxiety as well led to bipolar, which you can recover from. I want people to know that you can recover from it. And so when I went through that last year, there was this twist inside. There was one element saying, oh God, I can't do this again, because I know how hard and ugly it is. Then there was this other part of me saying, you've done this before and you're more equipped, you're better equipped to deal with it this time. So you don't have to go, oh, wow, I'm in pain. This is great. I'm finding beauty in it. As soon as it hits you, you're allowed to be, like I said before, ugly and messy. You're allowed to have those moments of, I can't do this. But don't listen to that voice for too long. Let it have its say, let it tell you those things, and then choose. We need to come back. We have three parts of our mind. We have the negative mind, the positive mind, and the neutral mind. So the negative mind in this example was me saying, I can't do this again. The positive mind was saying to me, yes, you can. You've done it before. And then the neutral mind is the part of the mind that's tapped into the soul. The soul reviews what both negative and positive minds have said. And so the negative mind's all about protecting us. The positive mind is about expansion and creation. And then the neutral mind assesses both and says, well, what aligns with my soul? And then we get to choose to rise above positive and negative mind and make that decision of, yes, it's going to be hard. Yes, it's going to be a difficult road. Yes, I know how to do this better this time because I have the tools. So agreeing with both minds, but I'm choosing to just take one day at a time. I'm choosing to see that roller coaster of ups and downs as moments to pull back and recover and moments to reflect and grow. So beauty in the pain. Let yourself feel the ugliness of it first, and then choose to see the beauty in what you're experiencing.
And as you say, that can be hindsight. That can be.
Yes.
I guess that can be by looking at all the other moments of pain and knowing that there's always something beautiful that came out of it, and that you'll make it through this bit too.
Yes.
That there's always another side.
There is, and that resilience, that is just like a muscle. It grows and grows and grows. So having resilience.
Yeah. So we're coming to the end. We've had such a beautiful chat, but I'm wondering if there's something else, keeping in mind this is the Becoming Me Again Summit. So for the audience, is there something that you would like to share with the women who are watching, something that you would like to let them know or impart?
Yeah, you are enough. I think is the most important message we can share as women, that you are beautiful enough, you are smart enough, you are creative enough, you are everything you doubt yourself to be and more.
Yes. Did everyone hear that? Say it again. Go on, say it again.
You are enough, just as you are. Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a powerful message that women need to hear. We need to turn those listening ears on and hear that you are enough. Thank you for that reminder. And you're allowed to be messy and ugly.
Yes.
Let's give it
real life.
Yeah, real life, right?
We hide it away too often.
We do. Yeah. Look at my great meal on Instagram. Look where I am on Instagram. Yeah. But
that's why these conversations are so important. Thank you so much, Melinda. It's just that realness that you bring to it is just so empowering. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. So we have one last question that we like to ask all of our speakers, and that is, what do you personally do that takes you to your happy place?
So meditation's probably the biggest thing for me. Definitely. I also do order writing. So I just sit down and I just put my fingers to the keyboard or my pen to the paper and just see what comes up. And usually it's things you didn't even realize that you were holding on to, or beautiful insights that you didn't think you had the wisdom to understand. So I think creating space for those two things, and nature actually. Sorry, I'm giving you three.
No, we love them.
They're all
great.
sources that other people can borrow from.
Yeah, nature. Oh God, nature is so important. My family know. I created a little garden area out the front, rotunda, beautiful. Oh, I just love it. And they know that if they can't find me in the house, Mum's off healing herself in the garden.
It's
No.
so true, isn't it? That Mother Nature,
Yeah.
she's absolutely a healer in all her different forms, whether it be forests or mountains or water. You know, that when we get out there, just that grounding element and feeling her soaking up through all the five senses, it's such a healing aspect. So I'm glad that you mentioned that, Melinda.
Yeah, love it.
And we believe you have a lovely gift to share with our listeners. Would you like to tell us about that, Melinda, please?
Yeah, I would. So I've bundled up probably my most utilized different ways of helping people. So I've put together a healing heart meditation, which is really lovely, just to tap back into that heart and allow it to be whole. And I've put together a program that I call Mental to Magic. So it's helping you to just understand different elements of your well-being. 5 pillars to your well-being is another one. So it goes through, nutrition, sleep, all those things that are really important and grounding for you to practice. So that's a lot of that's based on naturopathic skills, where Mental to Magic is probably more spiritually aligned with some, naturopathic elements to it as well. And then a Kundalini yoga class. So yeah, a lot of people probably don't know what that is, but my friend explains it really well. Like she said, normal yoga, stretchy yoga, Kundalini's woo-woo yoga.
I like that.
It's like my kind of yoga.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing. That is an incredibly generous gift. So we would encourage everyone to sign on up and get all of that goodness that you've packaged, body, mind, and spirit. That's what I hear in that it's all covered. So that's wonderful. We just want to say a big heartfelt thank you to you, Melinda, for showing up today and, offering your story. It's tender. That's what I hear in your story. There are definite tender-hearted moments in there, and we're really grateful for you to share from that place. So thank you for being you and for showing up and sharing that journey.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been really lovely.
Yeah, absolutely, Melinda. I know that so many women, me included, have taken pieces away from what you've spoken about. Really good, tangible tools and techniques, which is just so valuable. And alongside your story, thank you so much for sharing and being real and being vulnerable. It's so important in our world today. So deep-hearted, thank you so very much.
Thank
and also
you.
A big thank you to all our gorgeous women out there who are listening to us today. It's so lovely to have you join us, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow. But please, in the meantime, check out the email for tomorrow's speaker, and also jump on over and check out Melinda's gorgeous gifts and let us know what you took away from today. There were so many pieces that I know I took away. We'd love to hear what really resonated with you. Wonderful to have you. See you tomorrow.